I'm going to bring in our roaming reporter now, Lucas, who is out there in Barcelona. So here he is, live from Spain. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, guys. Don't know if you can hear me.
All good.
Yeah, all good. Yeah. So I'm just literally near the hotel again on the Airbnb, and what a show that was tonight, eh?
Amazing.
SmackDown delivered, I want to think. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to not trip over or get run over.
Be careful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The only thing I have to say, it doesn't need to be 3 hours. My God.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of action tonight and a lot of storyline progression to WrestleMania, which is interesting. You know, because sometimes these international shows, when they're TV, they can feel a bit like an afterthought. But I think they're doing a really good job of making it seem like a big deal. Obviously, some of the boos that came later on in the broadcast, I don't know whether they made the broadcast, but definitely during the show. But when they were announcing stuff for next week,
the Roman Reigns one was the worst one.
Well.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
The Roman Reigns one was the worst for that.
Yeah, they did not like that at all. Or the Braun and Jacob Fatu announcement, it got booed quite heavily, which, you know, I get that. Obviously, you know, that's just one of those things, isn't it? But it just feel like some people tonight, a lot of people tonight actually did expect Roman Reigns to be there. The kind of section I was in, a lot of Roman Reigns fans. There was a big CM Punk outpouring, you know, and so I think it's something they may need to look to address, you know, going forward, because, you know, going into TV without some of your big stars, you know, people might feel a bit shortchanged. But I think for the show, you know, the show that we got though was very, very good.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, like you say, the 3 hour thing is what I've been kind of saying myself as well. I think just from watching it at home felt kind of tiring. So I can imagine in the arena it felt even more so. But yeah, overall, I think a great show. I mean, you got a title change. We've got teases. I don't know how much you saw about those teases. I mean, did you see much of that? People were speculating the first one, Rey Fenix, the second one, Alistair Black. Have you got thoughts on those?
Yes, it's 4, isn't it? The number 4 is in Dark and Mystery. I mean, I thought that the what do you call it? The first teaser was for Axiom, because it had the whole what do you call it?
Like the lucha theme. So just that he was going to appear on the night, a little hint towards that, maybe.
But yeah, it had all that. But I wasn't too sure. Then obviously after that, they then did the what do you call it? The actual trailer, so to speak, for Axiom. Followed by obviously Axiom having a debut. Oh, God, what a debut!
Yeah,
what a
unbelievable.
Debut. Yeah. The whole arena was basically shaking during that match and during the Randy Orton match. I've said this previously on this channel. I think you know, Randy Orton is becoming, you know, he's getting that kind of just legacy pop now, isn't he? Everyone's just so happy to have him back and having part of the company.
Yeah,
and yeah,
I imagine you had some goosebumps when his song was being sung, and I'm sure you were singing at the top of your lungs as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of singing tonight, and it's always quite interesting when you come internationally. I'm just going to move away from the residential properties, because obviously I don't want to be on.
Unless they hear us and subscribe, we don't want to disturb them too much.
Indeed. So the rain has just about stopped here. Thankfully, it was a miserable evening, as you probably saw from some of the clips I sent you earlier. It was absolutely a miserable evening, especially to get in. And you know what's interesting about these European ones is that you kind of get to see how kind of relaxed it is in these places, compared to obviously England in particular, and definitely America. You know, it was very relaxed getting in, maybe too relaxed, I might like, especially given the weather. It just felt a bit like a free for all. And then once you kind of got in, again, it was just like, you know, it was very just free, basically. It's free to do what you wanted.
Okay.
But you know, like I think they, you know, what I did notice though, and I spoke to someone actually, a guy from Chile. I can't remember his name. I sat next to him in my first section of the evening. We'll get to that.
Oh, you did a bit of skipping, did you?
Yeah, basically, I just got so overwhelmed when by the time I got in, and I needed to go to the toilet, and then I just like didn't. The numbers were all different to what was in my ticket, and I couldn't find anyone. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sit here. So anyway, I sat next to a guy from Chile actually. Again, everything I'm about to say follows with a pinch of salt, but apparently he either has worked with or knows someone who works with Stephanie Vaquer, and he was going to talk to me about her and about how next year already there's 2 shows announced for Chile. I believe they're going to be house shows or maybe part of a tour. But obviously he had never actually seen the product live. He says he lives in Madrid. So obviously this was the closest one for him to come to. But he's never actually seen it live. And so annoyingly I had to then move afterwards. I'd like to see his kind of reaction to obviously the whole machine and stuff. But then in my other section, I got speaking to the people either side of me and the person in front, one of the people in front. And it just felt like people were so happy kind of that there was the product coming, to the thing. But something that I did find out is that they had a ticket sale last week, and I checked this myself because yes, on the day tickets were actually available for half the price.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because it's a ticket. I took a screenshot earlier, but the ticket in the section that I was looking at previously was €100. And on the day, if I wanted to buy it then and there, they wanted €50 for it. So it did seem that there'd been like a late surge in sales because of those ticket prices being reduced.
It did look full though, because when you first showed us pictures and stuff when you got there, it was slowly filling up, and you said it was a smaller venue and a smaller setup. I got to be honest, the way they presented it on TV, it looked bigger than what you showed us. So it was really interesting to get both kind of views of that. But what did you feel like once it did fill up? Did it feel like it was a sold out house for the most part?
Yeah, I mean there was behind the hard cam, there was empties. I don't know what they're claiming on. Again, we don't know. I obviously sitting there live. I don't know the announcements.
They didn't announce it, as far as I remember. So
yeah, because it wasn't a sellout. But it's still like a very, very big house, and I think obviously having the the fan being very loud and receptive is good. But I think they may have learned that. Yeah, I think in this part of the world, having tickets at and above, the 300, 400, 500 euro marks isn't really going to cut it, and hence the severe price reductions that we're seeing. And there's proof of it. It's not. It's not. I know in the comments, some people, a lot of these posts go, you're just an AEW fanboy or this, that, and the other. But it's like it's proof. Like I checked myself when I moved to my second section. I chose a seat that was for sale, so I knew that no one would actually come and sit there because technically no one actually bought the seat. So I had moved to that. I mean, but I would say it felt like a loud, full crowd. And I think that they don't need to worry about particularly selling out kind of all these kind of things. I think it's just a case of getting the interest and being able to go back next year. And we got to remember where we come from. We've come from, first house shows where, they didn't really matter, then to TV, which got, in a nice possible way, increasingly lazier and lazier as the years went on, as it stuck to a format of, before Mania, or also after WrestleMania, or was it before or after Survivor Series?
We used to get after Mania and around November. So it must have been early. It must have been just before Survivor Series.
I think before Survivor Series,
at the end of November Survivor Series. So
and one Raw went down south, one Raw and SmackDown went obviously up north, and that's how is. But to get to the state now where obviously they're about to promote, obviously in terms of Europe, they're about to promote obviously Clash in Paris. A lot of Clash can be anywhere now to them.
No forget the castle.
No castle anymore. But it does seem like they're stacking these shows on this tour. Like next week obviously they announced a lot for next week. Obviously Roman Reigns returning in Italy. He got booed tonight, but I don't think he'll get booed this week when he's live.
Of course not,
and of course, you've got Jade Cargill's first in-ring action since he attacked by Naomi. Next week, you've got Zelina Vega actually back in action. She'll be facing, I think, Piper Niven. And of course, the big Hoss fight, no bread, no water, just me. To quote a Booker T. And you've got Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman going at it. Which one would assume is going to like ending some sort of brawl and they're going to go on and face again at Mania?
Yeah.
Because this has Mania written all over it, surely.
Well, I mean, there were so many people in that opening segment with the 6 out of the 6 that I was like, what are they doing at Mania? Like, I just can't picture it. I mean, that's the one that's the most nailed on at the moment. But yeah, quite hard to tell. Look, we'll cover that more as we go on, leading up to WrestleMania itself. But just want to get your thoughts a little bit more on kind of the in-house experience, right? So what would you say off the top of your head were the most kind of exciting moments and pops, whether it be someone's entrance or a reaction to a line said in a promo, or where did you see the fans really kind of get off their feet and kind of make some noise?
I think although there was a bit of a lull at one point, I think the crowd was actually really good the whole show. But I think the main ones that would stick out was Axiom, and I'm just saying Axiom is in the entire package that was entered in front of. I think the entrance, the Gunther. I'd actually argue Gunther's promo kind of. I liked how, to be fair, with promos tonight. Obviously, I messaged you while I was there saying it's always weird when we do these promo segments in front of fans whose first language isn't English. But I think they did a good way around it tonight. Obviously, LA Knight came out and did his catchphrase 10 times in a row. So that was quite an easy one. And then they set up a 6-man tag. Obviously, Miz TV was barely 2 minutes long because, Cody just got straight to it. And then again, with this, it was a case of Gunther just said, he just basically got the heat, on Barcelona by preferring to Madrid, which obviously is a rival city of theirs, and then went straight into I'm going to face A-Kid, face Axiom. But I think everything about Axiom and how he presented tonight was the crowd absolutely loved. They loved. And it was truly a fantastic match. It's quite easy sometimes with these things when there's hometown heroes involved to go like, oh, it's just because it's our hometown. No. The match was fantastic. It was a truly fantastic match. And obviously, if it's looking likely that Axiom and Nathan Fraser, for Axiom, they've now actually finally filed for a trademark for that.
Yeah.
If it is likely that they are going to be called up, to SmackDown. I guess to the main roster, and it seems maybe SmackDown after Mania. I think there'd be a great addition. But that was basically one of them. I also think Randy Orton, like I said, I think he's just entered that legacy era, if you pardon all the puns of that, where people just will not boo the guy. They just will not boo the guy. They love him, and people are so respectful towards him. When he's obviously making his entrance stuff. And then the other one that surprised me, and I think they should be quite glad about it, is I think B-Fab. I think B-Fab got quite a good reception. I think, obviously, I think there was only one women's match the whole show, wasn't there, I think?
Yeah, it spilled into the Tiffany Stratton segment, which was crazy, which I want to get your thoughts on in a moment as well. But yeah, you're right. I think B-Fab was presented really well. And for someone that I was looking into her history, I was trying to see how many singles matches she's had, and it really isn't much, and hardly any. And so I think I was surprised how well presented she was, but still protected Charlotte. I think it was really well done.
Yeah, I think this is what we needed. I think we needed to see Charlotte obviously have a match. And obviously it was good that she was able to do it with someone who hasn't really had much ring time. And maybe this is a part of Charlotte which, I guess, there's lots of stuff about Charlotte, all the politics and stuff that she's into potentially. But I think if this is something that she wants to do, and she wants to obviously give this time to women who don't get time, let's be real. There was nothing for B-Fab. Let's be real.
Yeah, it gave her something to do. Yeah.
Given the chance to go, with Charlotte Flair. Obviously, the brawl that followed. Now, I'm hoping, obviously, WrestleMania season, and two things crop up quite a lot during WrestleMania season. Number one is the pull-apart brawls. Number two is the talk show segments. It seems that talk show went away for a little bit, and we kind of almost had one today. I don't know. Do you count Miss TV as one today? It was really kind of didn't restart, did it? But I think that they've got to be careful not to overdo this trope. I thought while there was the good dive that Tiffany did off the top rope, and then obviously the bigger dive she did when they came back, which is very weird for them to do that on SmackDown.
I wasn't sure if the first one, because she tucked her head late on the swanton off the top rope. It looked good, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, you know what, we could do something bigger, go back and do this, because it came after the break as well.
It feels like too big a spot to just go and do it.
Yeah,
especially because Miz referred to it as well and everything. I mean, look, they are professionals. I get that could happen. The only kind of gripe is, I think all the pull-apart brawls are becoming the same. and you kind of see the next thing happening like very quickly. Because they do the whole like, and why do they pull them apart and just leave them next to each other, or not like leave the gap so they can run around? It's quite odd. And then there is that part where you're like, also, so what? Like 10 to 15 men can't separate 2 women. It doesn't make any sense to me. It kind of takes you out of it a little bit. I think they maybe need to look at how they present these things, particularly as we are on the road to WrestleMania, and we're going to be seeing these quite a lot now. Like, I just think having the whole, like, they pull apart, but then they don't really go apart, and that leaves them to run around, and they're able, like, just to dive on top of them, like, at free will, it seems. I think they maybe got to have a think about how they do these segments. But I thought, weirdly, actually thought the second part of the segment was better. And maybe that's what they should have done. They should have had the pull apart and actually have it be. I think that's what it is. I think the pull apart Braun now, it almost seems like it never actually gets pulled apart.
Yeah, so I think it was great when Punk and Rollins did, but because that was only a few weeks ago, it was like, oh, this is a bit strange to do it again. It was different. I think the spot was fantastic, and I think it makes their feud look good. But yeah, it can feel a bit repetitive at times and a bit silly as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they need to find, a different way to obviously tell the same story.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly
what wrestling is as a whole. Yeah. But look, for this crowd, it got the pop. Tiffany's very, very over. She was very, very over. Charlotte, even though she was getting booed throughout the match, she got cheered in her entrance, and she gets that kind of. There is still that kind of like we're happy she's here kind of pop that she gets.
Yeah,
be interesting seeing how they develop that. Kind of going into WrestleMania, where you'd have to imagine Charlotte Flair is going to be the villain, and obviously Tiffany Stratton is the babyface, which obviously is a big change from where we were last year. And Tiffany has had this kind of like wave, all the time it seems. Even since leaving NXT, she left NXT, even though as a villain, but as a beloved villain, and then she debuted no more as a villain. But then she kind of, I guess, because how she wrestled as well, isn't it? But it'd be interesting seeing. But what I liked about this though is it's the first kind of realness to this feud. Does that make sense? Like, it's all right. Charlotte Flair winning the Rumble, then pointing at the sign, and then, kind of coming out of Tiffany a match and doing one move. But this is like the first I've seen. This is actually the match now. Like, get excited for it. This is actually the match. And, obviously, as we continue on this road to WrestleMania, we have to be thinking about. We pretty much do know Night 2's main event, but what is Night 1's? Like, is it going to be one of the women's matches? Is it going to be Jey Uso and Gunther? Or is it going to be something else? And obviously, something else did come into fruition today. Potential kind of story that might get that Night 1 spot in the main event. As obviously Paul Heyman returned, and obviously announced Roman Reigns, and there's that kind of ongoing feud. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins, which that could be a main event. WrestleMania, we say one the night. We're talking about Night 1 now. Let's be deadly honest. I cannot fathom a universe that exists where John Cena and Cody Rhodes is not the main event of Night 2 of WrestleMania. The only way I can't fathom that happening is if there's a Night 3. Again, I think there'd be a Night 3, and that'll be the main event.
And one day that could be the case, but yeah, for now it's 2. I think that the triple threat could potentially open one of the nights as well. But again, sees what else is going on with the card as well. But look, it's going to be a really interesting road to WrestleMania, especially because there are so many pit stops through Europe. It's going to be great to be able to do a lot more of these streams as we do to kind of, watch SmackDown and Raw at a reasonable time. But it's been really good to have you out there in Barcelona and keeping us up to date with what's been going on as well. Going to let you go, mate. But before you do, just let me know if there's any kind of big things we missed or any other points you want to make about the kind of in-venue experience you had there for SmackDown tonight.
No, it was good. It was good. Nice venue. And look forward to the next one. And I'll be on the stream most likely on Monday as Raw rolls into Brussels, and we talk about all things John Cena, Cody Rhodes, and everything else that's going on. But yeah, thanks for having me on, Scott, and I'll see you soon.
Perfect, mate. Thanks for the updates. Take care. Get home safe.
Yeah, man. All right, bye.
All right. So once again, great to see Lucas out there live, letting us know what's going on in Barcelona for WWE SmackDown. What a show it was.